The city streets were dark and cold. Rain had stopped just an hour ago, but the ground was still wet. Dirty water filled the cracks in the old sidewalk. In the corner of a quiet street, a small boy sat alone. His name was Leo. He was only 12 years old, but his eyes looked much older. They looked tired. They looked sad. Leo wore an old brown shirt. It had many holes in it. His pants were too short for his legs. His feet had no shoes. They were dirty and cut from walking on rough streets. Leo had no mother. He had no father. He had no family at all. Every night, he slept under a big bridge near the river. The bridge was his only home. Cold wind blew there every night. Rain came through the cracks. But it was the only safe place Leo knew. Right now, Leo sat with his back against a brick wall. His thin arms wrapped around his knees. He was shaking, but not from the cold. He was shaking from hunger. In Leo's small, dirty hands, he held one piece of bread. It was small and hard. The bread was 2 days old. A baker had thrown it in the trash yesterday. Leo had found it and saved it. This bread was his only food. He had nothing else. Not even one coin. Leo looked down at the bread. His stomach made loud, painful sounds. He had not eaten anything in 2 whole days. His body felt weak. His head felt dizzy. Every part of him wanted to eat that bread right now. Should I eat it? Leo whispered to himself. Or should I save it for tomorrow? His hands were shaking as he held the bread closer to his face. It smelled so good, even though it was old and hard. Just then, something happened. An elderly woman was walking slowly on the same street. She wore a long gray coat. Her hair was white and messy. Her face looked very pale, like she was sick. She walked very slowly, taking small, careful steps. Suddenly, the woman's legs stopped working. She fell down hard on the wet sidewalk. Her body hit the ground with a loud thud. Ah! The woman cried out in pain. Leo jumped up. He looked at the woman lying on the ground just a few feet away from him. The elderly woman tried to stand up. She put her hands on the ground and pushed, but her arms were too weak. She fell back down. She was breathing very fast. Her whole body was shaking. People were walking on the street. A man in a suit walked past the woman. He looked at her for 1 second, then looked away and kept walking. A young woman with shopping bags saw her too. She walked faster and turned her head away. More people passed by. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. Everyone was too busy. Or maybe they just did not care. The elderly woman lay on the cold, wet ground. Small tears ran down her wrinkled face. She looked so helpless, so alone. Leo watched everything. His heart started beating faster. He looked at the woman. Then he looked at his bread. Then back at the woman. The woman's lips were moving. She was trying to say something. Leo moved a little closer to hear her. Please. The woman whispered in a very weak voice. Please, help me. Her hand reached out toward Leo. Her fingers were shaking badly. Leo's mind was racing. He looked at his piece of bread again. This was his only food. If he gave it away, he would have nothing. Nothing at all. He might not find food for many more days. He might get even weaker. He might get sick. But the woman looked so weak, so hungry, so desperate. Leo's stomach growled loudly. The pain in his belly was so strong. His body was telling him to eat the bread, to survive. But his heart was telling him something different. The woman whispered again, Please, I haven't eaten in 3 days. Leo closed his eyes. His hands were shaking. He took a deep breath. What should he do? Should he eat the bread and save himself? Or should he help the stranger and go hungry again? This was the hardest choice Leo had ever faced. A choice between his own survival and helping someone else. A choice that would change everything. The woman's tired eyes looked at Leo, waiting, hoping. Leo looked at the bread one last time. Then he looked at the woman's face. He made his decision, and nothing would ever be the same again. Leo's heart was pounding like a drum inside his chest. He looked at the elderly woman lying on the cold ground. Her breathing was slow and weak. Her face was so pale it looked almost white. Leo stood up slowly. His own legs felt shaky from hunger, but he walked toward the woman anyway. Step by step, he moved closer. "Ma'am, let me help you," Leo said softly. He bent down and gently put his small hands under the woman's arm. He pulled carefully, helping her sit up against the wall. The woman was heavy for Leo. His weak arms struggled, but he did not give up. Finally, the elderly woman was sitting. She leaned against the brick wall, breathing hard. Her eyes were closed. Sweat covered her forehead even though the evening was cold. "Thank you, child," she whispered without opening her eyes. Leo sat down next to her. Up close, he could see how sick she really was. Her hands were shaking nonstop. Her lips were dry and cracked, with small cuts on them. Her cheeks were sunken in, like she had not eaten in a very long time. "Are you okay?" Leo asked, even though he could see she was not okay at all. The woman slowly opened her eyes. They were gray and tired, but there was still some light in them. She looked at Leo's young face. "No, child, I am not okay," she said honestly. Her voice was so quiet, Leo had to lean in to hear her. "I have not eaten anything in 3 whole days. My body, it is giving up." Leo's eyes went wide. 3 days? He thought 2 days was bad. This woman had suffered even more than him. He looked down at the piece of bread in his hands. Suddenly felt very heavy, like it weighed 100 pounds. The woman noticed the bread. Her eyes locked onto it. Leo saw something flash across her face. It was hunger, deep, painful hunger, the same feeling Leo knew so well. But then the woman looked away quickly. You have food," she said. "Please eat it. You are just a child. You need it." Leo stared at the bread. His stomach made another loud, angry sound. The pain in his belly was getting worse. His head felt light and dizzy. His whole body was screaming at him to eat. He broke the bread into 2 pieces. 1/2 for him, 1/2 for her. That seemed fair, right? Leo held out 1 piece toward the woman. But then he stopped. He looked at her face again. Really looked at it. The woman's skin was hanging loose on her bones. Her eyes had dark circles under them that looked almost black. Her whole body was trembling like a leaf in the wind. She looked like she might die at any moment. Leo looked at himself. Yes, he was hungry. Yes, he was weak. But he was young. He was 12. His body was still strong enough to survive a few more days. But this woman? She was old. She looked like she had maybe 1 day left. Maybe less. Something changed inside Leo's heart at that moment. A warm feeling spread through his chest. Pushed away the hunger pain, just for a second. He made a decision. Leo put the 2 halves of bread back together. He held out the whole piece to the elderly woman. "Please," Leo said with a small, gentle smile. "Take all of it. You need it more than me." The woman's eyes suddenly filled with tears. Big, heavy tears that rolled down her wrinkled cheeks. No, child, I cannot," she said, shaking her head. "This is your food. You are hungry too. I can see it in your face. How can I take your last meal?" "Because you need it more," Leo said simply. He pushed the bread closer to her hands. "Please, ma'am, eat it. I will find something else later." It was a lie. Leo knew he had nothing else. He had no money. He had no family to ask. He did not know where his next meal would come from. It might be days before he found food again. But looking at this dying woman, Leo could not eat that bread. His heart would not let him. The elderly woman stared at Leo for a long moment. Fresh tears kept falling from her eyes. Her bottom lip was shaking. You are giving me everything you have?" she asked in disbelief. "But why? You do not even know me. I am just a stranger." Leo thought about her question. Why was he doing this? He did not know this woman. She was not his family. She had never done anything for him. But somehow none of that mattered. "Because it is the right thing to do," Leo said quietly. The elderly woman took the bread with shaking hands. She looked at Leo one more time, her eyes full of tears and gratitude. Then she ate slowly, taking small bites. Each bite seemed to bring a little color back to her pale face. When she finished, she held Leo's hand tightly. Her grip was weak, but her touch was warm. "What is your name, precious child?" she asked. "Leo. My name is Leo." "Leo," she repeated softly, like she was trying to remember it forever. "I am Margaret. Thank you, Leo. You saved my life today. I will never, ever forget what you did for me." Margaret stood up slowly, using the wall for support. She looked stronger now, but still very weak. She touched Leo's cheek gently with her wrinkled hand. "You have the purest heart I have ever seen," she whispered. "God will bless you for this. I promise." Then Margaret turned and walked away slowly, disappearing into the crowded street. Leo watched her until he could not see her anymore. He sat back down against the wall. His stomach was completely empty now. The hunger pain came back even stronger than before. But inside his heart, Leo felt something strange, something warm, something peaceful. "I did a good thing today," he whispered to himself. That warm feeling lasted for about 2 hours. Then reality hit him hard. Day 1. Leo woke up under his bridge the next morning. The hunger pain was terrible. It felt like sharp knives were cutting inside his stomach. He pressed his hands against his belly, trying to make the pain stop. It did not help. He walked through the streets, searching through garbage bins. His hands dug through old newspapers, broken bottles, and rotten vegetables. The smell was horrible, but Leo kept searching. Nothing. All the bins were empty or full of things he could not eat. Other street kids had already taken everything useful. A bigger boy pushed Leo away from one bin. "This is my area. Go find your own trash," the boy shouted. Leo walked away with his head down. He had no strength to fight. By evening, Leo found some dirty water dripping from a pipe. He cupped his hands and drank. The water tasted like metal and made his throat hurt, but it filled his stomach a little bit. That night he could not sleep. The hunger was too strong. Day 2. The morning sun felt too bright. It hurt Leo's eyes. Everything seemed too loud. Every sound made his head pound. Leo tried to stand up, but his legs felt like rubber. He fell back down. Took him 3 tries to finally stand. He walked very slowly through the market area. Maybe someone dropped some fruit. Maybe a kind shopkeeper would give him something. But Leo had no luck. A shopkeeper saw him looking at the bread in the window. "Get away from here, dirty street rat," the man yelled. "You are scaring my customers." Leo walked away quickly. Shame burned in his chest. He found a small piece of rotten apple near a fruit stand. Half of it was brown and mushy, but Leo did not care. He ate it so fast he almost choked. The rotten apple made his stomach hurt even worse. 1 hour later, Leo was sick. His body forced everything out. Now he felt even weaker than before. Day 3. Leo could barely move. His body felt so heavy, like someone had tied rocks to his arms and legs. His skin looked pale and gray. His lips were dry and cracking. He spent most of the day lying under his bridge. Sometimes he would drift into sleep. Sometimes he would wake up, confused about where he was. Strange thoughts came into his head. Maybe I am dying, Leo thought. Maybe this is how it ends. He thought about the bread he gave away. Part of him wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. If I had eaten that bread, I would not be dying now, a voice in his head said. But then he remembered Margaret's face. He remembered her tears. He remembered how grateful she looked. That memory made him smile, even though his whole body hurt. No, Leo whispered to himself. I did the right thing. Even if I die here, I did the right thing. The sun went down. Darkness came. The bridge became very cold. Leo's eyes started to close. He was so tired, so weak, so ready to give up. Maybe I will just sleep forever, he thought. Maybe that would be easier. His breathing became slower. His heartbeat became quieter. Day 4. Leo did not remember when he fell asleep. He did not remember the night passing. Everything was just darkness and cold. But suddenly, in the foggy morning, Leo heard something. Footsteps. Someone was coming. Leo tried to open his eyes, but his eyelids felt so heavy. He managed to open them just a tiny bit. Through his blurry vision, he saw a shape. Person. coming closer. The footsteps stopped right in front of him. Leo! Oh my God! Leo! That voice. Leo knew that voice. It was Margaret. She had come back. Leo's vision was blurry. Everything looked like shadows and shapes. He blinked slowly, trying to see clearly. His eyes felt heavy, like someone had glued them shut. The figure bent down close to him. Hands touched his face gently. Leo, can you hear me? Please, say something. It was definitely Margaret's voice. But something was different. She sounded stronger, more powerful, not weak and dying like before. Leo forced his eyes open wider. Slowly, the blurry shape became clear. It was Margaret, but she looked completely different. She wore a beautiful dark blue coat that looked expensive. It was clean and new with shiny buttons. Her white hair was neat and pulled back. Her face had color in it now. Her eyes were bright and alert. She looked healthy, strong, almost like a different person. Behind her stood a tall man in a black suit. He wore sunglasses even though the sun was not very bright. He looked serious and stood very straight like a soldier. Am I dreaming? Leo whispered. His voice was so weak it barely made any sound. No, my dear child. You are not dreaming, Margaret said. Tears were already running down her face. I found you. Thank God. I finally found you. Margaret turned to the man in the black suit. James, quickly, get the bag. The man named James moved fast. He opened a large black bag and pulled out a blanket. Margaret wrapped it around Leo's cold, shaking body. When did you last eat? Margaret asked, her voice full of worry. Leo tried to remember. Maybe 4 days ago. The bread I gave you. Margaret's face turned pale. Her hand covered her mouth. For days? Oh, Leo. Oh, my precious boy. She turned to James again. The food. Give me everything. James pulled out container after container from the bag. Fresh bread, roasted chicken, fruits, juice boxes, warm soup in a thermos, chocolate bars, cookies. Leo's eyes went wide. He had never seen so much food in his whole life. His stomach made a loud, desperate sound. Eat, please eat, Margaret said, opening the soup container. The smell hit Leo's nose. It smelled like heaven. She held a spoon to Leo's lips. The warm soup touched his tongue. It was the most delicious thing he had ever tasted. Tears started rolling down his dirty cheeks. Margaret fed him slowly, spoon by spoon. Not too fast, dear. Your stomach needs time. Leo ate the soup, then some bread, then a banana. His stomach felt strange having food again. But oh, it felt so good. Color started coming back to his face. Strength slowly returned to his body. After 15 minutes of eating, Leo could sit up by himself. Better? Margaret asked, wiping his tears with a soft handkerchief. Leo nodded. Yes, thank you. But I don't understand. What happened to you? You look so different. And who is he? Leo pointed at James. Margaret smiled. A strange, mysterious smile. I need to tell you the truth, Leo. The whole truth, she said, taking a deep breath. But first, let me ask you something. Why did you look for me? How did you know I would be here? I did not look for you, child. I looked for you, Margaret said. I have been searching for you every single day since we met. I went to every street, every corner, every bridge in this city. I asked everyone if they had seen a boy named Leo. Finally, this morning, another street kid told me about a boy sleeping under this bridge. Leo was confused. But why? Why did you search for me? Margaret's eyes filled with fresh tears. Because you saved my life, Leo. And because I need to tell you who I really am. She paused. The air felt thick with tension. My name is Margaret, that part was true. But I am not a poor, helpless old woman. Leo listened carefully, his heart beating faster. I am Margaret Ashford. I own 3 of the biggest companies in this city. I have factories, office buildings, and stores. I am very, very rich. Leo's mouth dropped open. He could not believe what he was hearing. Rich? But you were dying on the street. You had no food. How? Margaret's face became sad and angry at the same time. Because my own family betrayed me, she said, her voice shaking. My nephew and niece. They wanted my money. They wanted my companies. So they made a plan. An evil plan. She paused, wiping her tears. They drugged me. They took my money, my phone, everything. Then they left me on the streets like garbage. They wanted me to die there. They thought nobody would help an old woman. They thought I would just disappear. Leo gasped. That's horrible. Yes, Margaret nodded. I wandered the streets for 3 days. I begged for help. Hundreds of people saw me, but everyone walked away. Everyone ignored me. She took Leo's hands in hers. Everyone except you. Margaret's hands held Leo's hands tightly. Her eyes looked directly into his eyes. There was something powerful in her gaze. Something determined. You gave me your last piece of bread, Leo. You had nothing. Nothing. But you still chose to help me, Margaret said, her voice breaking with emotion. Do you know what that meant to me? Leo shook his head slowly. It meant everything, Margaret continued. When I was lying on that cold street, I thought humanity was dead. I thought kindness was gone from this world. My own blood relatives threw me away like trash. People I trusted, people I loved, they all wanted me dead. A tear rolled down her cheek. But then you appeared. A small, hungry boy with holes in his shirt and no shoes on his feet. You had every reason to be selfish. Every reason to think only about yourself. But you didn't. Margaret squeezed Leo's hands harder. You showed me that good still exists. You gave me hope again. You reminded me why life is worth living. Leo felt his own tears coming. Nobody had ever talked to him like this. Nobody had ever made him feel important. After I ate your bread, I felt stronger, Margaret explained. I walked for hours until I found a police station. I told them who I was. At first, they didn't believe me. I looked like a crazy homeless woman. She laughed a little, but it was a sad laugh. But finally, they checked my fingerprints. They confirmed my identity. They called James here. He is my personal bodyguard and driver. He has been loyal to me for 20 years. James nodded respectfully but said nothing. James came immediately. He brought me home. We called the police on my nephew and niece. They are in jail now, waiting for trial. Everything I own is safe again. Margaret took a deep breath. But Leo, from the moment I got home, I could not stop thinking about you. That little boy who saved my life. Where was he? Was he okay? Did he find food? Was he cold? Was he safe? Her voice became urgent, desperate. I sent James and 10 other people to search for you. We looked everywhere. For 4 whole days we searched. And finally, we found you. Leo didn't know what to say. His mind was spinning with all this information. Margaret stood up slowly. She pulled Leo up with her. Even though he was still weak, he managed to stand. Leo, I am 72 years old. I have no children. I never married. My whole life, I focused only on business, on making money, on building my empire. She looked sad for a moment. But money didn't save me when I was dying on that street. Money didn't give me hope. Money didn't show me kindness. You did. A boy with nothing gave me everything that mattered. Margaret's next words came out strong and clear. I want to adopt you, Leo. I want you to be my grandson. I want to give you the life you deserve. Leo's heart stopped. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. What? He stammered. Come live with me, Margaret said, her eyes pleading. Let me give you a home. A real home with warm beds and hot meals. Let me send you to the best schools. Let me give you opportunities. Let me give you a future. Leo's legs felt weak again, but this time not from hunger, from shock, from overwhelming emotion. But I'm nobody, Leo whispered. I'm just a street kid. I'm dirty. I'm uneducated. I don't know anything about living in a fancy house or… You are not nobody, Margaret said firmly, almost shouting. You are the boy with the biggest heart I have ever met. You are brave. You are kind. You are selfless. Those things cannot be taught, Leo. You either have them or you don't. And you have them. She placed both hands on his shoulders. I have money, yes. I have power, yes. But I don't have what you have. I don't have your pure soul. So please, Leo, let me be your grandmother. Let me take care of you. Let me give you what you gave me, hope. Leo's whole body started shaking. Tears poured down his face like a river. All his life he had been alone, unwanted, invisible. People stepped over him on the street like he was garbage. But now this powerful, rich woman wanted him. Actually wanted him. Yes, Leo cried out. Yes, yes, please. Margaret pulled him into a tight hug. She held him like she would never let go. Both of them cried together, their tears mixing with each other. James, the bodyguard, even wiped his own eyes, though he tried to hide it. Thank you, Leo sobbed into Margaret's shoulder. Thank you for finding me. No, child, Margaret whispered back. Thank you for saving me first. From that moment, everything changed. James brought a car, not just any car, but a long, shiny black limousine. Leo had only seen cars like this in movies. The limousine drove through the city streets. Leo sat inside, pressed against the window like a child seeing the world for the first time. In a way, he was. The seats were made of soft leather. They felt like clouds. Leo had never sat on anything so comfortable. Classical music played softly from hidden speakers. The car smelled like fresh flowers. Margaret sat beside him, watching his amazed face with a warm smile. Where are we going? Leo asked quietly. Home, Margaret said simply. To your new home. The car drove for 30 minutes, leaving the dirty, crowded city center behind. They entered a part of town Leo had never seen before. Here, the streets were clean. Trees lined both sides of the road. Big houses stood behind tall gates and green gardens. Finally, the car stopped in front of massive iron gates. They had beautiful designs of birds and flowers carved into the metal. A security guard saw the car and immediately opened the gates. They drove through and Leo's jaw dropped. In front of him stood the biggest house he had ever seen. No, it was not a house. It was a mansion. 3 floors tall, painted cream white with dark brown wooden doors. Wide windows reflected the afternoon sun. Fountains sprayed water in the front garden. Flowers of every color bloomed everywhere. This is where you live? Leo whispered in shock. This is where we live now, Margaret corrected him gently. The car stopped at the main entrance. James opened the door. Margaret stepped out first, then helped Leo out. Leo stood there, frozen. He looked down at his dirty, torn clothes, at his bare, cut feet, at his filthy hands. I can't go in there, he said suddenly. I'm too dirty. I'll ruin everything. Margaret laughed softly. Oh, my sweet boy, nothing can be ruined. Come. She took his hand and led him inside. The entrance hall was enormous. The ceiling was so high, Leo had to bend his neck back to see it. A huge chandelier hung from the center, with 1,000 tiny crystals that sparkled like diamonds. The floor was made of shiny marble that reflected everything like a mirror. Leo was afraid to walk. His dirty feet would make marks on the beautiful floor. It's okay, Margaret said, reading his thoughts. Floors can be cleaned. You are more important than floors. 5 servants stood in a line, waiting to greet them. They all wore neat uniforms, black and white. When they saw Margaret, they bowed their heads respectfully. Welcome home, ma'am, they said together. Then they saw Leo. Their eyes went wide with surprise. A dirty street boy, standing next to their rich employer? What was happening? Margaret spoke with authority. Everyone, this is Leo. He is my grandson now. From today, he is the young master of this house. You will treat him with the same respect you treat me. Understood? Yes, ma'am, they all said quickly, though some still looked confused. Mrs. Chun, Margaret called to an older woman with kind eyes. Please prepare a warm bath for Leo. Use the guest bathroom on the 2nd floor. And find some of the clothes I ordered this morning. Clothes? You ordered clothes for me? Leo asked, surprised. Margaret smiled mysteriously. I was very confident I would find you. Mrs. Chun led Leo up a wide staircase with a golden railing. Everything around him looked like something from a dream. Paintings hung on the walls. Vases with fresh flowers sat on small tables. Soft carpet covered the stairs, feeling wonderful under his bare feet. They reached the second floor and entered a bathroom. Leo stopped breathing. The bathroom was bigger than the space under his bridge. The walls were covered in white and blue tiles that sparkled. A huge bathtub sat in the middle, big enough for 3 people. Gold faucets shined under bright lights. Fluffy white towels hung on heated racks. Is this really for me? Leo asked in disbelief. Mrs. Chun smiled warmly. Yes, young master. Let me fill the bath for you. She turned on the water. Steam rose as hot water poured into the tub. She added something that made bubbles appear, thousands of white, sweet-smelling bubbles. I'll leave you to clean up, Mrs. Chun said. Take your time. Clean clothes are on that chair. When you're ready, come downstairs. Madame Margaret is waiting to show you your bedroom. She left quietly, closing the door behind her. Leo stood alone in the beautiful bathroom. He looked at himself in the huge mirror above the sink. A dirty, skinny boy with messy hair stared back at him. His face was covered in dirt. His clothes were rags. He looked like he belonged in the garbage, not in this palace. Slowly, Leo took off his torn shirt and ragged pants. He stepped into the warm bath. The moment the hot water touched his skin, Leo closed his eyes. Felt magical. All the dirt, all the cold, all the pain of living on the streets, the warm water seemed to wash it all away. He scrubbed his skin with sweet-smelling soap. The water around him turned brown and gray from all the dirt. He didn't care. He kept washing. For the first time in years, Leo felt clean. Actually clean.